Welcome to the Innovators Insider Podcast. I'm Richard Doyle, the user group guy, alongside my friend and colleague, Mike LaFresh, the professor. Mike, how are you today? And what kind of show do we have for our folks today?
We have a very, very fun show here today, Richard. And nice to see you from snowy Boston. We're getting a big snowstorm right now. It's awesome. I know everybody loves my weather reports.
Well, and I usually follow along with my own. We're having rain here today. That's it's been raining for about 6 hours or so. It's supposed to end overnight. But spring, it's spring. You know,
when folks, we're getting close.
when folks are watching this episode today, it will actually be a couple of days into spring. We had daylight savings time started over the past weekend. That's my favorite day of the year. I just love it when I get that extra hour of daylight in the afternoon. So things are really looking up. We'll be moving into summer soon, and time for some camping and some water sports and just some fun. So
well. My favorite harbinger of spring is Onshape Live, Richard.
Well, yeah. And fortunately, we were able to have another Onshape Live this year. It just ended recently, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I've got some thoughts on the sessions that I attended. Of course, the sneak peek was, it's always fantastic. So I loved that. But we also have a guest that's going to talk about Onshape Live as well, don't we?
We do. We have our fearless host and the person that's done a lot of work to make Onshape Live possible. We have our senior director of product marketing, Loretta Faluade.
Hi, Loretta.
Hello. How's it going?
Just ducky.
Oh, awesome. Well, I have to add to the weather forecast. I'm in Houston and it's hot.
It's about that way most of the time. We can ask you that question and get that answer most times.
The only thing is that it's not humid yet. So it's kind of like, it's nice 70s, 80s. So we get to go out and enjoy the outside before we're all inside, not leaving our houses over the summer months.
Well, you enjoy that 2-week spring that you get down there.
We skipped right over winter this year, but it's okay.
Hey, that's right, Richard. You were up in Austin for quite a while.
Yeah, I was, and I remember that very well. The couple of weeks of really nice spring weather, and then all of a sudden, man, just summer just hits like a. Mm-hmm. I don't even have an adjective for it. It's just hot.
It's just really hot. There you go.
Well, I thought it would be good. Last year we did this show and it was actually quite popular. I shouldn't have been surprised, but because Onshape Live is such a great show and it's awesome to be a part of it. But I thought it would be a good idea again, to chat with you and understand what your favorite parts of the event were, some of the kind of surprises or anything that you thought that you'd like to share with the Onshape community, as the person that brings Onshape Live to all.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's always a pleasure and an honor to host and get in front of all the users. I'll always say this about Onshape. It's fascinating how awesome our user community is. And our customers are absolutely amazing. And I think a couple of things really stuck out to me. So the first one was that we hit the 3 million user mark. So we have 3 million users who are using Onshape, which is absolutely just mind-blowing and phenomenal accomplishment and achievement. So that was exciting. And then, as you can see, even though we had the 3 million users, we had 99.9% uptime. And it's a testament to our users and to the product itself, our NPS score, which is a metric that measures the likeliness of users to recommend the product to other users, is over 40, which is best in class in the cat industry. So it was quite amazing to see and to be a part of this journey and where we are along this journey with John, with Dave, with you guys, and with all our users. So that was one thing that definitely stuck out to me. There was so much. Like we can talk a lot about, you know, the keynotes where Dave, you know, was phenomenal. Dave, our general manager, was absolutely, you know, great. And John Hirschstick, of course, brought in his energy and his perspective as to where Onshape is and where Onshape is going. So it was just a really, really great, it was a really, really great session.
Yeah, I agree. I loved you know, David Katzman's talk, you know, especially, you know, when this slide came up, Loretta, especially, like when David was talking about this, it really hit home with me, you know, that the, like, you know, you say 3 million users and an NPS score of 40. I want to get into that a little bit because NPS might be a concept that some people don't recognize. But like these 6 zeros,
Yeah.
what I mean, this is a really interesting way of thinking about, you know, what Onshape is, right?
Yep, yep. A lot of times, you know, you think about tools, right? And it's like, oh, you can do this, you can do that. But sometimes it's good to reflect and think about the things that you no longer have to do because you have that tool, right? And that's what Onshape allows you to do. And that's what Dave was sharing, right? So with users who are using Onshape, they no longer have to think about backing up, you know, their data. They no longer have to schedule any kind of downtime, right? Because they're updating systems. They no longer have to deal with CAD crashes or losing data. And they no longer have to like install, you're not dealing with installed software. Everything is available on a web browser in the cloud. So there's just so much, right, that comes that you no longer have to think about. And it was such a new way to think about how you're using the tool and what the tool provides to you beyond just being able to design really cool products. It's like it eases your mind. It takes a load, you know, off your shoulders. So it's such a great product.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a few years now since you've been here with the Onshape team, and it's grown quite a bit, you know, in your time here. And you know, I love seeing the user numbers, you know, really poke up there, right? I remember, you know, seeing 1 million, 2 million, 3 million users now plus. You know, it's obviously it's growing crazy every day, but it's so nice to see the community growing.
Yeah.
Some of the customers that were you know, sharing their thoughts, you know, deep things, you know, in their business, right? You know, it's really amazing to see that. You know, like, were there any that stuck out to you that you remember fondly?
Yeah, so we have. I know since I got a chance to see that he was in here. So you know, Dan had a really really fantastic, you know, session where a lot of enterprise customers were able to talk a little bit about, you know, their process, their on-shape journey, where they are in their on-shape journey. Um, and then you also had a really great session around agile product development. It's such a unique concept, and it's something that we're starting to see a lot more. It's starting to let me say pick up steam out in the market, right? Because people want to design hardware like they do software products. They want to be able to go faster. They want to be more nimble. They want to be able to react quickly. So it's really awesome. Good. And John mentioned it in his keynote about how you break up a product development cycle into little sprints. And he shared a little bit about Ocado Technology, who is doing a great, just a fantastic job in implementing agile thinking into their product development process. So this is such a great visual. So the traditional waterfall methodology is now being broken up into different shorter sprints. So you go, you know, you design a specific piece, and then, you know, once you get out of this sprint, you go into the next. So it allows you to be more agile, right? So it was such a great concept, and lots of customers are now looking as to how you implement them, and just some notable customers that were part of Onshape Live. So you had Hasbro that was part of Onshape Live. You had you've thrown up here. You have a lot of like Amphenol, who was also part of Onshape Live. So there are lots of different perspectives and different ways in which viewers can learn, hey, how are they doing CAD? How is that different? What are some best practices, right, that they're talking about that I can bring into my organization? So that's always something, you know, that we enjoy hearing from customers. And I know that customers have given us feedback that it's beneficial for them to also learn from their peers.
Yeah. Richard,
That's-
you put a nice list together of things I think that you wanted to go over, because you know you went at it you know, as a user, right?
I did, and I went a little bit differently this year. And Loretta, it looks like you and I decided to go to the same track. So Loretta has taken some of my thunder away from the first two sessions, but the third session in that track was data migration is not as painful as you might think, and that was a wonderful conversation. That was Jenny Johnson and Nicole Phillips from Trek, and they talked about the kind of things that people, you know, that users have to worry about when they switch their CAD system, and Trek is going through that right now. You know, they talked about standard content, how much data needs to be migrated, what data can be obsoleted. It was just a fantastic conversation. And the reason I chose that track, going back to why, last year, I was still learning Onshape. I mean, I was still really learning Onshape. I'm still learning Onshape, but I'm getting much better at it. So, you know, I chose the tips and tricks sessions. I chose some of the advanced sessions. This year, I am comfortable enough with my skills in Onshape that I thought, I want to see what our customers are doing and what they're talking about. So that's the reason that I chose this track. And I'm not sorry I did. You know, Dan's going to be with us later. He did a fantastic job with that. And Maureen, too. I love listening to Maureen. I love to watch her, you know, take charge of a discussion. She did a really great job. So all three sessions were fantastic. And I learned an awful lot about what our customers are doing with Onshape.
And then we got to shout out Mike. You also had a really great session on surfacing with Vince Haley. So that was also a pretty awesome session.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we really enjoyed ourselves. I mean, if you got to watch it if you haven't seen it yet. I mean, obviously all the sessions are available here on demand now. So even if you missed it, which, you know, is a shame, you know, but you can go in and register on demand right now and watch any of these sessions, hours and hours of content, deep content that, you know, people here at Onshape and our customers worked very hard on. Like, you know, I just loved the session though with Vince Haley and I mean, we designed this VR1 here. You know, so kind of went through some of the design techniques involved in creating, you know, some stuff with very appealing surfacing, right? Because Onshape has added so much surfacing capability in the recent releases and surface analysis. It seemed like a good time to kind of highlight a lot of those things. And we tried to use everything from Onshape Live 22 to Onshape Live 23 to build this design, just the features for the most part. You know, there are obviously sketches and things that we use that have been around forever, but you know, a lot of the new features were used on this. You know, like I just think that I could build something like this before, but not as easily as I built this now with the new surfacing tools, right? It just, I was able to do this in my spare time, you know, and I had Vince Haley, who was giving me deep dive industrial design recommendations on this, which, you know, I found to be extremely helpful. And for somebody who's not an industrial designer, I am not an industrial designer. It really helped me a lot. It really helped me a lot. So yeah, that was wicked cool being able to work on that and give it a go. We had a lot of fun in that session, for sure.
Yep. And the other session I was going to say, just a quick shout out, right? So we have Cam coming. So it was a awesome breakout to have Jake there leading the session alongside Michael and Rylan Johnson, who basically are the founders and developers of cloud milling. And their story is absolutely amazing because this, father-son duo developed just an incredible product, right? That we're now integrating, implementing into Onshape, and that will be coming soon. Can't give you a date, but it's coming.
Very soon. We will definitely have shows about that, and it's gonna be. I'm extremely excited to have fully cloud native CAM,
Yep.
right there at your fingertips without any licensed dongles or any kind of like installation, and just the sharing of the information. Just I'm so excited about it. I can't talk about it anymore because I don't want to let too much of the cat out of the bag. I'm really excited.
Okay.
So Onshape Live 24, what do we have to look forward to? Too early to ask?
Oh man, you gotta give me some time to go sit on the beach and just kind of recuperate. But we will be kicking off. We will start kicking off planning for Onshape Live 24. I think it's, the past couple of shows have been good, but what we want to do is to kind of challenge ourselves and say, what do our users want to see? Is there something different that we should be adding to the show that we haven't thought about? So if you have any ideas, please drop them in the, comments and, let us know what you would like to see. So we will start planning for Onshape Live 24 in probably a month after I get back from Cabo.
Very nice. Very nice. Have a tequila for me.
I will do.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know what we can have, what you want to see. Drop us, any way you can reach us in the comments here or wherever. It's
there's all kinds of different ways to get a hold of us. You can make a comment in the forum, comment here, send us an email.
Yeah.
I think we have Innovators Insider at
ptc.com.
ptc.com.
Yeah, that will work.
I don't know if we've ever given out that email address before. We probably should have.
There we are. Innovators Insider at ptc.com. I'm gonna have to go through the inbox now. Thanks.
I've got a hook to mine too, so we can do it together.
Awesome.
Well, Loretta, it's been great having you back on the show again. Your excitement for Onshape Live always shows through. I like to call you the hostess with the mostest.
Oh, thank you.
Did a great job this year, as always, and we'll look forward to Onshape Live 24.
Thank you. I'm going to make my family and friends call me that now. The hostess.
See you later, Loretta.
Thanks, Loretta.
Pleasure.
All right. Well, it's always nice to have Loretta on the show.
You betcha.
What a gleaming person. That's I just love Loretta. So
I do too.
So related to Onshape Live, we have, and I'm going to add this to the stream before I bring our next guest on. Speaking of Onshape Live, we had lots of talks with customers. Dan Kane ran one of those talks with some of our interesting customers here, including Hasbro, Jabil, and Duraline. So, Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Richard. Thanks for
having
me.
How you doing, Dan? It's our pleasure for sure.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. I was just thinking before you brought me on here, I'm almost as nervous to come on Innovators Insider as I was to even present it on Onshape Live, but excited to be here.
Well, I sat in on your session at Onshape Live, and it was fantastic. It really was. You handled the whole interview process with a lot of professionalism. You got a lot of information out of everybody. And I don't know who goes about picking the customers for these kinds of sessions, but you certainly picked customers that had a lot to say, which is really great. So I enjoyed your session very much, and thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate it, Richard. Yeah, huge shout out to the customers that joined that session. I really think they made it great. They're great Onshape advocates and are willing to share their stories, which I think is really the biggest thing. Myself, sort of working in pre-sales, I'm not working with as many customers, but more working with people who are considering making a jump to Onshape. So I think that sort of valley of unknown between making the switch and actually being productive and successful in Onshape is intimidating to a lot of folks. So I think having people share that journey really adds a lot of value to those folks.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if anybody out there that's listening right now is considering a move to Onshape, definitely go and check out those sessions. I think it'll make you feel, put you at ease before you even get started. Because I know that, switching a system like that can be a big deal. So.
Absolutely. Anything, from your session, Dan, I'm going to throw you on the spot here, but, from your session with Jabil, Hasbro, and Duraline, were there any surprises? Were there anything that you saw for trends? Maybe just a sneak peek into your session so people will watch the full thing if they haven't already.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the really cool things is that the three folks I had, Chris, Brandon, and Romeo, with the exception of Romeo, they're not necessarily, managers or sort of supervisors, directors at their organization. They're end CAD users, and they're the ones who originally introduced Onshape to their organization that ended up taking hold. So it's kind of cool that the idea of affecting change within your organization, you don't necessarily need to be some sort of upper management person. Sometimes it's just bringing it in can really start that ball rolling. And that kind of goes into the other aspect that was really cool is the viral nature. The idea that, when you introduce it and when you start to show people things and send them a link to get them into a 3D model, it just goes off in people's heads, right? And you kind of can't unsee some of the aspects of Onshape that make it cool. And sometimes that's all it takes to then start that spread of, wow, this is really a tool we should maybe start considering.
Yeah.
I really thought that was kind of awesome. And I forget which customer it was that was talking about this, but they started using Onshape on the side.
Right.
And started showing it to people. And all of a sudden, all these people get all excited. And not just the CAD guys and the engineers, but all of the other departments that use the data that's coming out of engineering. I enjoyed that part of the conversation very much.
And you bring up a good point there that, particularly our large customers, but honestly, all of them, one of the big things is just sharing that data, right? It's not necessarily the authoring, and it's getting those view only folks, those people outside the engineering world, visibility. And I think we like to use the word, democratizing the process, really getting them involved.
Yeah. Another thing that was announced at Onshape Live was something relating to startups, right? Maybe you can share a little bit about that. People start using Onshape on the side. They start using it in various ways. We wanted to talk about another way that people can get started now.
Absolutely. So I hosted a session with three large organizations, but every large organization starts as a much smaller one. So we're very excited in Dave Katzman's keynote to announce the launch of the Onshape Startup Program, where for folks in those early phases of building out your company, when you need some sort of design tool to get that hardware off the ground, to get those initial prototypes or even start toward mass production, we at Onshape feel that it's the tool that makes the most sense, where you can get in day one, you can start being productive, start designing your tool, and we want to be able to give it away for free to those startups. And so I think Mike just flashed a link here. We encourage everyone with a startup along those lines to apply and to see if you qualify, right? If you go in there, submit your application, part of the program essentially is getting you Onshape professional seats free of charge, gets you as sort of a part of this larger community of startups in Onshape. And we hope to enable you guys to get off the ground and really start to build your company.
Yeah. What a great idea. I mean, to be able to, get this in the hands. I think a few episodes ago, Richard, you did a great job articulating why it's good to start with Onshape. You were going through the hardware and the servers and things like that, right, Richard?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, the initial cost to get into Onshape is far lower than any other CAD system that I've ever used.
Right.
And with a program like this, where the account is free as well, I mean, you're basically getting an engineering tool that you can start using right away, and access to the learning center, access to the forums. You're not just going in blind and logging into Onshape and looking at it and go, where do I start? You have all of these other aspects of Onshape that can help you along in that process.
That's right.
And it's going to work on the computers you already have.
Absolutely. The low barrier to entry to get going on day one, but then also the professional aspect of scaling as you get there, right? The PDM when you need it, when you start to get to those release to production type points in your process, you're going to get in day one, and then it's going to be the tool that scales with you as your company grows.
Yeah. How many times have we heard, people getting started with CAD System X in their startup program? They go along 3 or 4 years, they have all this data, they've grown, but they have no PDM system. And now they have to do this big migration. They have to spend, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, move files, figure out how to do it. It's a decision that you'll never have to make if you start with Onshape, because from your very first line sketched, right, you have PDM essentially, right?
And one of my favorite parts has been there's so many cool things that people are doing in startups. It's on the cutting edge. It's taking a chance. I've gotten a chance to speak personally with many people that have already enrolled, and it's really pretty mind blowing some of the stuff that folks are doing in the startup community. So really, really great to see.
Yeah. This is the very cutting edge of technology companies are Onshape customers. It is interesting to see every day. Yeah, I can't and won't share, but it's like there are so many companies in the top cutting edge industries using it from, I don't want to like call them out right now, but it's amazing to see, like the real cutting edge, mind blowing stuff, as you said.
Yeah, green technology, food automation, just so many of like the really, really cool, like you said, cutting edge industries. We really find Onshape fits well.
Yeah.
So that I was before they head over to the website over there. What are some of the minimum criteria to be eligible for this program?
Yeah. So at this point, it's really sort of an algorithm on our side that sort of you submit an application. And we sort of put through that process and get you that feedback. But we do turn it around quite quickly. We do find 24 to 48 hours where oftentimes get you a response on that. At this point, the criteria themselves are not necessarily public, though.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're a startup, if you have, just give it a shot, and see if you qualify, and if not, there are other things, that we have for you. So looking forward to seeing all sorts of great candidates coming through. And Dan, another thing I'm going to do to put you on the spot.
Please.
I never asked you this question, but I would love to figure out like why and how you got into the CAD industry, right? I always like to find out people's origin stories, and you're an interesting cat. You have an interesting background, so I thought it would be interesting to find out what led you down this path.
Yeah, happy to share. So engineer by trade, mechanical engineer in college. Actually worked for a simulation company to start off my career. I was focused on industrial scale fluid dynamics and CFD, which ended up getting acquired by Dassault, actually. And one of my old roommates used to be a salesperson here at Onshape and would show me and sort of bring me into the world of some of the cool stuff that was happening at Onshape. This is actually pre-PTC days, so sort of back in the old Onshape days. And all the folks that we were working with when we were doing the CFD analysis would have all their designs, obviously, as CAD models. Right. We sort of saw in the day-to-day some of the struggles that some of these large, heavy vehicle manufacturers would have in data management, some of the exact things that we hear people saying today, and was never really a CAD guy. I was more interested in that type of simulation back then, but making the switch, getting into this world, really sort of diving head first over to Onshape and PTC has really sort of brought me into it, started to understand the cool things that people make and all the different types of industries CAD is involved in. And that part's been really cool. So definitely a non-traditional route, I think, to getting to where I am today, but happy that this path led me to where I am.
Well, we're happy to have you. Thank you for everything you do. I know you spend hours and hours and hours every day helping our customers understand Onshape that are coming through, that are new. And it's a tough job because, it's a tough job. I mean, there's a lot of questions that people have. So you have to be the man to answer them, and you have a great team. So I really do want to thank you for that, and thank you for joining us here on the show. And let's get everybody to apply for the to the startup program. You know, if you think you qualify, have a great new product, apply and see if we can help you.
Mike and Richard, thanks so much for having me. I want to say one last thing. I know we know her as the hostess with the mostest, and that's kind of what we saw Loretta as at Onshape Live. But big shout out to all the work that happens behind the scenes to get it all to run smoothly on the day of the show. She really did a ton there. Can't thank her enough. And
there's a big team as well. The production team, you know, all of the speakers, you know, all of the people coming up with you know, everything. There's hundreds of people involved in a production like that. So it's really amazing.
Yeah. Big shout out to all the people behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, Dan, thank you for joining us. Hopefully it won't be the last time, and we'll catch up later.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Take care, Dan.
It's always good to chat with Dan Kane. Dan Kane is he's a Boston guy, and he's, you know, he gets stuff done. You know, he's a great colleague to have, and you know, if you're lucky enough to talk with him during a pre-sales kind of engagement, you know, it'll be a good time. So don't be shy.
And we've got another little something bubbling up to the surface that we won't talk about right away, but expect something to come out of that soon, related to the startup program. So
yes. Well, we'll talk about that later.
So I'm pretty excited about our next guests. I think our viewers probably understand at this point that I'm a big BattleBots fan, and thankfully live in Las Vegas, where I get to go over and watch some matches on occasion. And these folks, we were talking a little bit before the show started, didn't start out as BattleBots fans, but I think they probably are now. So let's bring in the folks from Share Horizons. Welcome to Enric and Jose Maria. Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Now
You're
joining us from Barcelona, Spain, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Barcelona, and Jose Maria is from Sevilla.
Yeah, I'm from Cadiz, but now I'm living in Madrid. So here I am.
My it's just a weird coincidence, but my youngest son is in the United States Marines. He had it right now. He's doing some work for the Marines over there. So probably working with the military of Spain as well. So
okay.
And he is enjoying it very much. So
yes, nice. the weather is good.
Yep.
Weather is usually quite nice in Spain and Madrid. I have not been yet, though. I planned on going, but my trip got canceled before COVID. Yeah, as COVID was happening. But hopefully someday I'll get back.
You have to come.
Yes,
I had
a nice place.
I had a nice 3-day visit to Barcelona back in 2010, I think it was. So quite a long time ago that I was there, but I enjoyed that as well, especially the food. I think I gained 30 pounds while I was there. So, we didn't mention why you guys are here. We said BattleBots, but you guys won the Onshape Live'23 BattleBots design contest. Yeah. The contest to design a new weapon system for Switchback, and your reaction to the win was something for the ages, Enric.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting us here, because for us it's a dream. Forgive us because my English is bad. I will do my best. Sorry. But yes, it's a dream for us to be here. We don't believe what is happening. We don't understand, because we are a little team from Spain. We are makers. We design for hobby. We make our little projects, and now we are here in a interview in United States. This is unbelievable for us.
Yeah, it's such a big experience for us. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, between the design itself and then the reaction that we got to see live, I mean, we couldn't wait to talk to you guys. So it's our honor to have you on the show. Certainly.
Thank you.
And so I've been a BattleBots fan now for a couple of years. Actually, I was a BattleBots fan many years ago when a friend of mine was competing. But then it kind of fell off, and I didn't really get back into it until a couple of years ago when we started sponsoring. Onshape started sponsoring some of the robots, and since I live here in Las Vegas, I'm what they call the local representative for BattleBots, and so I've been over there a couple of times and watched some matches and met some of the teams over there. But you told me before the show that you weren't BattleBots fans to begin with, but have you caught up now? Have you seen some of the matches and maybe become a fan?
Yes, when we knew what is about the contest of Onshape, then I started to watch a lot of videos. I've seen every single video in YouTube, I think, and because we have to learn and study which BattleBots are winning right now, what is the meta, which type of tool used to win, and we realized that the vertical spinner is what is using now the winner of BattleBots, but it's the vertical spinner, but throwing off lifting up the enemy, right?
Yep.
And this is what we go for.
For us was the best weapon system, so we based on this system.
Yeah, and I can see that your spinner is going to be very effective. Like you, I've watched a lot of matches. I mean, most all of them, and I agree with you. The vertical spinners seem to be the bots that do the most damage and win the most matches. And the original spinner on Switchback was good, but I think the design that you've come up with here, the extra length, the notches there that'll help to grab the other bots and throw them in the air. The judges, when they judge these matches, the higher you can flip your opponent, the more points you're going to get for things like damage and things like control. And I think your design here, I know the team's going to prototype it, and I know they're going to do some videos and stuff. I got a feeling we might see this in competition, Enric.
Yeah, this is a crazy thing, because when we were designing this, we were saying all the time, do you imagine, can you believe that if we win, this tool is gonna fabricate? We didn't believe it, and now we can't wait to see it. We can't wait. This is very crazy.
We're looking forward to be to see the manufacturing, because it's crazy.
But yes, as you talked before, we were aiming for a weapon that lift up the enemy the easiest way possible, right? So we adjust the weapon the lowest possible, right? Because if the enemy is coming and then the wedge system lift up the enemy, and then as soon as possible to lift it up. It was we were aiming for. And now, of course, for sure, we are fans of BattleBots. Switchback, now we are Switchback fans, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the reaction was unbelievable. We were all so happy with you. Yeah, when we saw your Twitch stream that you were running live. So for everybody should subscribe to Share Horizons, because they have a very fun Twitch channel, and they do YouTube, right? It's very fun to watch. I obviously am not a fluent Spanish speaker, so I try to turn on the transcription here, but you can tell the excitement. Sure. Let me play a little bit for you, just for the fans of the show to see. So this is
of you, our users.
You waiting for the announcement.
Overall awesomeness.
Están diciendo que han puntuado según la forma de diseñar. It was so painful.
We'll start with our third place submission.
Third
this
place.
Is the Rising Huckabee, also known as the Switch Beater.
The production here is great too. Very good.
Second place submission. This design comes from Team Razorback. It also has a small cloud attached to armature forks that can tilt to adapt to the floor against bots.
It was so funny to see.
So finally, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Pues tío,
This
¿qué
year's
quieres que te
Onshape
diga?
design competition competition champions. Our winning submission belongs to the Share Horizon Club.
The audio here went crazy.
¿Qué?
Enhorabuena, chicos.
¿Qué?
Grande, Jose.
Yeah, that was just
In that moment, I have this system to put my headphones, right? And with the motion, I turn back and I disconnect the headphones. And I have, ¿cómo se dice altavoces? 1 second. Speakers. And then the speakers went loudly, a lot. And
It was a crazy moment. So.
And then I crashed the LEDs. If you can see in the video, I crashed the LEDs and stopped working.
Looks like it's put back together now, though. It was
Now we fix it.
I was just I was so happy to see that. Everybody here at Onshape, we were just so happy and excited for you and the reaction, and it couldn't happen to better people. It's nice to see. So tell us a little bit more about Share Horizon. Like, what does your group do?
4 years ago or 5 years ago, I think, we created Share Horizons Club. It's a maker club, and we do design, 3D printing, and different type of projects. For example, the last project that we did last year, we finished it, I think, in October of 22. We did this crawler. It's a RC controlled crawler, okay? And everything is designed with Onshape, everything. And everything is 3D printed, even the gears, the wheels, everything.
Wow.
I like the frame. Yeah, I like the frame, the chassis. Yeah, that looks very nice, actually. Yes, looks really good.
Yes, well, it's still in design phase because it depends. Some piece it crashes. Well, it's a very, I don't know.
It's funny because
process, right? It's the 3D, like John Hirschtick talked about it during Onshape Live in his keynote, is that 3D printing is a form of rapid prototyping and iteration, right?
Yeah.
You can create 3D printing very quickly. You don't have to send it out to tooling and wait 2 or 3 weeks. You can have it in 2 or 3 hours sometimes if you're lucky.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Yeah. It's because you create, then you print, then you see if it works, if it crashes, if you need to make some part stronger. But we love it. We love it because I am an engineer, electrical engineer. I worked 6 years in the automation industry. And then I started to design and 3D print for living, and then I created the club. But now it's for fun. Now we are doing this for hobby. I'm a math teacher now, and then we join. I think that we are 15, maybe 20 people that we love 3D design, 3D printing, create projects. But is our hobby. We still don't believe that 3 years ago we take third place in this competition. And then back then I thought, okay, that this is irrepeatable. It's only happened one time. This is the best that we can do. Okay, we are happy for this. And then this year the first position, it's crazy. We don't believe it.
Crazy.
It's a madness.
Yeah, you're never out. It looked good. I mean, I love the Thor, the design of that sketch. With the Mjolnir. The logo is beautiful. That's hard work. To put that kind of sketching.
And we were so close to not participate, because we just finished the crawler And then we have to make this project for an event that we are going this weekend. This weekend, we are going to Madrid because we have to talk in an event about 3D printing, making robots, Arduino programming, and we are maker talk, right? And we have this robot football competition. Well, in United States is soccer.
Yeah.
Okay, robot soccer competition, and we have to do a lot of work. Our schedule was so close because we work on other jobs. I'm a math teacher. Jose Maria is a designer. The other people of the club, they have other works, and this year we were so close to not to participate. But when we see that it was to design a weapon for a robot, then we couldn't resist. And we have to do it. And
an offer they couldn't refuse.
We couldn't refuse, and then we work non-stop 3 weeks every afternoon.
Wow.
And weekends included.
Yeah.
And we have the real job and this. Okay.
Yes.
In my case, it's funny because I discovered Onshape while watching an Enric video on YouTube. So
that's
for
amazing.
me, it's really nice.
Yep.
Yes,
word of mouth.
Because we started designing with SolidWorks.
Yeah.
4 years ago, a member of the club talked about another software, cloud-based, and we were so interested. He showed us Onshape, and from that day, we are only designing with Onshape.
Yeah, it
4
is
years
hard
ago.
to unsee it. Once you start using it, it's hard to not use it.
Yeah. It's because it's so useful, because if you want to share a file, it's as easy as copy the link and share the link.
It's very useful software because in my case, I work as a manufacturing engineer in an aerospace company. I design mainly in Katia, for example, another software. And for me, it was crazy to change the software, but it's really, really easy to do the things. And we are so happy with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because we are a team and we design together, and it's so easy for us to I share with you the file, then you have your folder, you design this part in that folder, then the other member design other part in other folder, then we do the assembly. It's so easy, and for our hobby, for our projects, is the best that we can have. We love it. We love it, and we are not paid for telling this.
No.
Yeah. Well, after 2 winning designs in 3 years now, I think we can safely say that you're very good at your hobby.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you share us the football pitch that you would design?
I don't know how to change. Maybe
you can change the camera. Maybe I think.
Okay.
And
there it is.
Enric, if you want to do a little plug in Spanish so that folks that are watching over in Spain can get an idea about this event, feel free.
In Spanish.
Sí.
Okay, one second. Para los que estáis viendo esta entrevista, para la gente que habla español, bueno, pues que sepáis que este fin de semana en Madrid se va a celebrar la Printer Party en Alcobendas, que es la mayor fiesta nacional de impresión 3D que se realiza en España. Y pues nosotros, el Club Share Horizons, pues vamos a participar en una de las charlas y vamos a hacer una competición de fútbol con robots. Y pues si venís, pues vais a poder jugar con los robots y haremos una competición de fútbol con ellos. Y yo creo que va a ser muy divertido y bueno, si estáis por España y cerca, pues pasaros y seguro que os lo pasáis muy bien. Okay.
Muy bien.
And now I can show you how it works. Okay?
Yes.
For example, the silver one, okay, it's an ESP32 microcontroller based. So we have two. We have the controller and the robot. Okay. Then it's as easy as plug the button. Okay. Then it's easy because you only walk and kick the ball. Okay.
Yeah.
And let me show you. I will try to do my best because it's difficult. This little robot is crazier than me. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, we are trying. Okay. Whoop.
Which football player? Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Score.
Goal.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
That's great. Oh, that was great. Great job.
Yeah, and just as an aside, Enric, I'm a Premier League fan, so it's football to me as well. I follow Liverpool, so.
Oh, it's the second best league, right? Before Spanish and
well, yeah, if you say so. Don't want to argue with an Onshape user.
Okay.
Oh, what a great show! This was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, we are having fun as well. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. So, what could happen? I don't know. Well, I think I'm dreaming right now.
Yeah, we are so delighted to be here.
And you know what? And we get to get even more excited very soon because we'll get to see the manufactured weapon.
Oh yes,
here soon. I don't have any idea when that's going to be scheduled, but I know they're going to be working on it. So that'll be the next time that we can get really excited is to actually see that in action. They'll probably, I imagine they're going to go to they have these booths that they use to do testing with the bulletproof glass and, just in case these robots go off the rails. So I imagine we'll get to see some videos of the robot with the weapon working inside. I don't know if they'll actually fight another robot with it, but they might. So that would be fun to see.
I hope so. I want to see the weapon spinning. That's crazy.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's been a really great conversation. We look forward to seeing, like I say, we look forward to seeing it manufactured, and hope folks will follow the Share Horizons and follow along and see some of the really cool stuff that you folks are doing. So,
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, what a great show, huh?
Wow, that was really good. Hey, Dan's still in the green room. We want to bring him back in to say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, let's do that, Dan. I see him smiling. Yeah, let's do that. Let's
bring everybody back in.
Yeah.
You thought you were going to get away, but we kept you here. We just like to say a group goodbye, maybe give a big wave, and ask the folks to subscribe and hit the like button for us. And and you know what? We forgot to thank the women for hosting our last episode.
That's right.
They did a really great job.
They did such a marvelous job.
Yep.
Yeah,
Episode 40. If you haven't seen it yet, for International Women's Day, they just did such a great job. We told them if they got 10,000 views that we might have to hand the microphone over. So I'm really rooting. I'm rooting for them to get 9,999.
Yeah, they did a great job though. Definitely give it a listen. A lot of great life advice in there, and it's really good. So
great. We'll see y'all next time.
All right, see y'all later.
Thanks.